welcome to the Airguides Investor Webinar. My name is Robin Holt. I'm here representing Birchal, and I've been delighted to be able to work with Paul and Bibi on their campaign since the get-go. It's actually been a real joy to be able to get here, and I'm thrilled to give you the opportunity here to really tell a lot more people about your journey and about your business and where you're going and what you're looking to do. So just to explain the format for this session, we have a quick presentation which Paul and Bibi are going to be running through at the beginning, and then we're going to be handing it over to you to basically ask any question that you would like to ask about the offer, about Birchal, and we will do our very best to answer in as much detail as possible all of those questions that come through. So I'd really like everybody to use the Q&A feature as much as possible as and when those questions come up. And I will be monitoring them. I'll be, asking them to Paul and Bibi at the end. But before I go through all of that, I'd love to hand over to both of you to quickly introduce yourselves and get through that presentation.
Hello, everyone. I am Bibi, one of the founders of Airguides, and thank you all so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, and I'm Paul, obviously. We also wanted to just say thank you. We know it's a Monday lunchtime. The webinar was delayed, but we really appreciate everyone taking the time out of their day to listen to the Airguides story and hear more about our offer.
Fantastic. Well, now's as good a time as ever to get the presentation started.
All right. So the story of Airguides really began with a single goal: to make it possible for people to follow in the footsteps of the world's most inspiring storytellers. And that mission transformed into us wanting to transform the travel industry into an ecosystem that not only profits travelers and storytellers, but also tourism operators and local communities.
So I guess we often really challenge ourselves. We would see Airguides as bringing travel back to the glory days of that Lonely Planet guide.
So today we'll be taking you through our journey so far. We'll take you through our business model in more depth, and then we'll go through our plans for this year and the wider opportunity. And then at the end, we'll hopefully get lots of questions from you all. The Airguides journey so far. So in 2018, we were lucky enough to get accepted into the Telstra Accelerator program. And this allowed us to launch the Airguides MVP. We did lots and lots of user testing that year and interviewed hundreds of travelers and people from the industry to find out key pain points and desires in travel. And we found out that for many people, the real problem in travel is not in the inspiration phase, but in the booking phase. And this made us pivot into the current Airguides model. And in 2019, we got accepted into Lightning Lab Tourism, a business program based in New Zealand. We got accepted as the only non-New Zealand venture. And this program was supported by some of the country's largest tourism organizations. That year, we were able to launch our operations much quicker than we would have done ourselves. And the Lightning Lab Tourism program allowed us to basically launch Airguides in our first market, New Zealand. We worked together with 3 of the country's most high-profile photographers and created bookable packages. And we got our first customers in that year and grew our revenue to nearly $30,000. Our sales were growing pretty steadily with 20% month-on-month growth, and most of our customers came from the USA. It went so well that we decided to launch in Australia at the start of 2020. The pandemic, of course, unfortunately stopped our momentum, but we decided to focus our time on product and partnerships. And this allowed us to create a new revenue stream, producing storytelling marketing campaigns for DMOs, destination marketing organizations, also known as tourism boards. So we managed to create campaigns for Tourism Tasmania, Tourism Northern Territory, Destination Port Stephens, Tourism Noosa, and a few other regional tourism organizations, and grow our revenue stream through a completely new B2B revenue stream. In 2022, we decided to focus on guided tours. We have a luxury at the moment with our photographers having more time dedicated to us and really proving the business model to them. So we sent out our a pitch to our storytellers to see who would be interested in doing more guided tours. And to our surprise, most of them actually said yes. So our guided tours is really a focus for us this year, together with our campaigns that we work together with for the brands. So we just launched a campaign for the NRMA, and we're launching our second vertical, which is food and wine.
This is at the moment, I guess, the guided trips is really the biggest demand that we've got at the moment. We were really surprised how much photographers just love getting out with the customers and teaching them photography, over 3 or 4 days out at incredible destinations. Like I just got back from one at Lady Musgrave Island, and it was incredible.
So we obviously, our biggest focus is working with incredible storytellers, and that's what we spend most of our time on. We want to create long-lasting relationships with storytellers. And as our first vertical, we spend most of our time finding photographers because of multiple reasons, but the biggest reason was that these people inspire people directly through social media to travel, plus all the content was in existence. So this allowed us to launch Airguides trips quite quickly in the photography vertical. So we spent significant time building trusting relationships and basically building a business model around our storytellers to support their careers. We've been very careful in handpicking photographers to work with, and currently we work with 16 of Australia and New Zealand's most inspiring photographers. We're also really proud to launch in our second vertical this year, which is food and wine, as mentioned before. And we're going to be launching travel packages with Matt Wilson, who's a really well-known wine journalist and wine photographer, for travel packages in the Barossa. Our company's North Star is really based around one thing: to prove to our storytellers that we can earn them the equivalent of a full-time wage.
Our business model. So I guess the way we've designed our business model, we really see it as the intersection between the creator economy and travel. So these are obviously really both emerging markets, and we see a lot of inspiration from, if you know the platform Masterclass, we get a lot of inspiration from what they're able to do in the online learning place. You had big platforms like Udemy, well-established, and Masterclass were able to come along and build relationships with incredibly trusted people, even Michelle Obama, people like that, and leverage those people that are trusted and grow. So that is the intersection between the creator economy and online learning. We're getting a lot of inspiration from what they're able to do in that space. So I guess the reason for that is that we're seeing consumers are moving towards trusting people over brands. And some of the big brands are trying to, they also work with our storytellers, and they pay them to market their brands. But we're able to build these trusted relationships, and they're able to leverage our platform to do that for them. Also, unique experiences. I mean, travel coming out of COVID is all about finding these incredible different experiences in food and wine or golf or photography, things that people haven't done before. Our storytellers, they are experts in this. Like, they tell us, like, oh my God, you have to go to this place in Queensland or this place in the Barossa, these wineries. That is what they do for their entire life. It's their passion. They come to us and we work for that. And obviously, what's a real passion for BB and I is being a for-purpose travel. It's something that the consumers are looking for, and it's also a real passion for us as well. So we have 3 products that we partner with our storytellers on. The first being self-guided trips. So we're really focused on being a platform. So highly scalable, good margins, something that we're able to, our storytellers are able to leverage our platform, send their traffic to it via social media, media partnerships, things like that. They're able to direct their audience to our platform, and they're able to drive income or passive income through that. So these work on about a 30% margin, and our storytellers earn between 5 and 10% of the total revenue from that trip. So when we're talking tech-enabled platform, big scalable, these trips is where we really see the future. So whether they're longer road trips or potentially single destination, people like Crystal, who you can see here, these are one of the trips that we just built with the NRMA, and it's a self-guided trip around Alice Springs. As BB mentioned, guided trips, these is probably the most fun part of what we do. They're just incredible. People like Mark here, the goal with these is that we're all about storytelling. We tell a story over the 3 or 4 days. So Mark's brand is really about turtles, baby turtle hatching, underwater photography. So the people that came on this trip, we had 10 of us, we went out to Lady Musgrave, and Mark was able to teach people the skills in underwater photography, how to photograph baby turtles, and then on the last day, people get to hatch them. Yep, hatchlings. And on the last day, photo editing. And it was really incredible to see people develop their skills as well as doing that. So guided trips for us, long-term vision is it's really about a marketing and PR. We do a lot of social media activity throughout these trips. Destinations love it. Brands love them as well. And most importantly for us, our storytellers love going on these trips. And then I hate to say there's any benefits from COVID in tourism, but if there is one for us, we really discovered this opportunity in campaigns. What initially started as, I guess, desperation to grow revenue and how we're able to save our company. We pitched some campaigns with our incredible storytellers to marketing organisations, and it was really this opportunity that we discovered. So we get asked this a lot. Was it just something for COVID times, or do you see it going forward? For us at the moment, we really see it as a huge opportunity for us to work with tourism boards, potentially brands, to really drive that top of funnel. So essentially what it breaks down to is we're able to get our product development funded by a tourism board or a brand. They help drive the top of funnel with their audience, and we're able to underpin it with bookable trip packages and really drive that revenue from those bookable trip packages, both guided and self-guided. Here's just a few more. So the NRMA campaign, that just finished last week. That was in the Red Centre, and some of the other tourism boards and partners we managed to work with through 2021.
So our plans for this year, well, now that we're back in, I guess the start of this year has been such a roller coaster for us. We still obviously notice the effect from the new pandemic course that came on here, and then we really started to get pretty crazy with bookings and inquiries. So we feel like we're truly back in scale-up mode, which is really exciting. So our big focus this year is on growth. We are first to market with this model. So we do believe we have a really unique opportunity in the current market to bring the travel agency into the creator economy. And what we really want to do is we want to redefine the traditional agency model with a makeover for a new generation of travelers. And how we're doing that is by a 4-phase growth plan. That's how we want to expand our vision across the world and position us to take advantage of not only the massive tourism boom that's already happening, but also of our competitors' potential lack of readiness to capture the market. Our current focus is on building foundations for scale. So we are expanding our number of trips, both guided and self-guided in Australia and New Zealand. This is initially with a photography focus, but then we're also launching in our second vertical, which is food and wine. So we're starting with guided tours in that vertical, but we're also planning more self-guided tours in that vertical. We're also expanding our team to increase our operations and prepare for our next growth phase. We want to grow our revenue again by 20% month on month and get back to our pre-pandemic sales levels. And we're already getting pretty close to that. So that's really exciting to see. You can read more about our growth plan in our offer documents, which we'll share with you soon, but that will have all the details on our specific plan.
So I guess it's just really to show, to expand on what Bibi was saying. So our business model, where we say we're a platform, you can see here on the top right. So really it's about everything that we do is how can we leverage our storytellers' channels and the platforms that they work across. So whether it's SEO or Instagram or YouTube, they're all real experts in those spots. The destination marketing organizations and brands, how can they lever our platform to grow what they want to do? So for destination marketing organizations, it's really about visitors actually coming to destinations. Well, we can make that happen. For brands, it's really about EDM, campaigns, they want to run competitions, that sort of stuff. They're also able to leverage our platform. And the emerging, one of the biggest opportunities we see is in media. Media is struggling with advertising revenue. They have huge audiences. We're able to work with them on growing, like booking revenue is really enticing to media, especially in tourism. So they're able to leverage our platform and our storytellers to really drive some things through there. So whether that's Netflix one day or really your traditional, with NRMA, we did traditional brochures and magazines and that sort of stuff.
So our travel verticals, this is a huge focus for us because we really want to position ourselves as a fashion travel platform. And that ties back into that purposeful travel. People have changed throughout the pandemic. We don't want to just travel just for the sake of visiting a nice resort and lying on our beds, sitting by the pool with a cocktail, but it's really experiencing something and learning new things. What? And we do a mix, adventure and luxury. But basically, why we really started with photography, we identified that there were not many photography trips run in New Zealand or Australia, nor trips guided by professional photographers. However, there was significant demand. This is why we started in this vertical. Next is food and drink. I've already talked about this a little bit, but basically our customers have been demanding it. We really get our insights from our customers. So customer insights fuel our growth and determine which travel vertical we will conquer next. And the food and wine vertical has also a significant market opportunity. And then the opportunities are pretty endless. We plan to enter the sports tourism vertical after food and wine. So think sports such as surf and golf. We want to turn professional athletes and ambassadors of the sports into travel advisors and make it possible to experience trips through their eyes. And history and culture is another really massive one we've identified. So you can see Wayne Kulin there, who is an Indigenous photographer, and really that would be amazing to follow in the footsteps of people who can not only show us new destinations, but really with a cultural and historian view.
And then I guess we're trying to stay focused at the moment because there is such a massive opportunity for us in Oceania, so the South Pacific, New Zealand and Australia. But we're also intimately aware that we are first to market with this business model, and we need to expand to Europe and North America and Southeast Asia when obviously it makes sense, but as fast as possible at the same time. So just to give everyone an idea of what we're talking about when we see opportunities with brands and tourism boards. So you can see there some examples of the destination marketing organizations. Events are also something we've spoken to. Brands. So brands, not all brands, but brands that leverage tourism to drive sales of their products. There's some examples which everyone would know. And also your traditional tourism brands, they already work with storytellers. We're able to work with them as well on campaigns.
So last but not least, really how our company's positioned is to balance purpose and profit. Sustainable travel is at the core of our story and is really reflected in everything we do. As we scale our company and our profits, we're also committed to scale our positive impact and contribute to a more sustainable travel industry. For this, we let us guide by the Sustainable Development Goals, and we have identified 7 Sustainable Development Goals that best align to our business key focus areas and that we want to contribute to. By focusing on these goals, we're ensuring a strong commitment to the global agenda, which we think is really important, and to establish ourselves as a company that balances purpose and profit. And that's it from us.
Q&A time.
Fantastic. What a great presentation. No, it's awesome to see all the angles that you're approaching the growth of the business. And I think that there's just so much to digest even from that presentation. So I'm really thankful to everybody who's asked questions already here. And I've also got a couple from the side from people who mentioned they couldn't make this session. And so, yeah, I'll be going through these questions. So just kicking off, Neil here has asked a couple of questions. Thank you very much. How will you work with travel agents?
Oh, good
question.
It's the first time I've actually been asked that one. So we are travel agents technically. I guess that's actually a really important question. So as part of being a for-purpose travel company, a lot of what that means is being responsible in tourism. So Bibi and I, when we set up these trips, we work directly with these, like locally owned and operated First Nations operators as a priority. So we avoid, if anyone knows, there's quite a few layers in tourism. People would know that the middle layer, which is the aggregators, we try and work where possible directly with our suppliers, almost like a travel agent, so that we're able to give them a fair commission they give us a fair commission, sorry. We offer them a fair price because we believe in building long-term relationships is much better for our company. So we have spoken to some travel agents overseas. There's definitely the opportunity for us to work with that side of distribution network. But at the moment, look, the storytellers drives enough traffic for us at the moment. So it's something in the future we could look at.
Yeah, super interesting. Super interesting. So, and Neil here has asked as well, you are positioning yourself as a default platform, ? Obviously, at the end there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, what we do is try and keep focused on being a platform play. So how can people or how can other companies, brands, other distribution partners send their traffic to us? We create the bookings and there's fair commission distributed.
Yeah, totally. Perfect. And Gavin here, thank you very much for the question. How many guides do you plan to sign up per vertical per market?
Good question. It's something that we're really, I guess, working with one storyteller means we could potentially have 100 trips in Australia. So really the growth is in optimizing our partnerships with each individual storyteller and making sure that we have our Airguides core customer, and then we almost create niche communities by working together with each storyteller who represents something different in their own communities.
Yeah.
So really the growth is now for us in working together with our 16 storytellers across Australia and New Zealand, because they are repeatable trips. So for us, the growth is in proving to those storytellers that we can generate a revenue stream through tourism for them. But it is a good question. And I guess for us, it's unlimited. It would be, we want to make sure that we can prove the model to our current storytellers, but going into different passion travel verticals will allow us to work with a lot of different storytellers, which is really exciting.
Yeah, very, very similar to Masterclass. And this is an example that is good to use again. It's a real focus on quality over quantity, because the platform is designed that we can scale off more limited amount of storytellers, but we can scale that up. For us, that's the focus is on the best storytellers, the most trusted storytellers that we can find, the most engaging storytellers across different verticals.
Yeah, and a lot of what we do is So we work with storytellers, obviously in the most authentic way to turn their ideas into commercial products. But a lot of what we do is we have to unfortunately slow them down sometimes to make sure it is a commercial product.
Of course.
They have such amazing, crazy ideas that I guess some of our storytellers think people can take holidays for 3 months on end and do the whole of Australia on an epic road trip. So it's really working with them in the most authentic way, to making sure we can turn each trip into a commercial product.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the second question here from Gavin was, can you protect your IP and do you have any competitors? I think the IP question is going to be a really interesting one because Birchal itself is a marketplace as well. And I know that when it comes to protecting of IP, your brand and the strength of your brand means so much. And I think for you, what kind of a relationship you have with those storytellers who provide those trips as well has such a huge impact on that brand and essentially your IP in the space. But I'll leave you to answer the rest of the question.
Another great question. Yeah, so I guess for us, we do have brand IP protection for our brand. Platform, it is a tourism platform, so it's difficult to protect certain parts of that. For us, the most important thing that everything that we do is protecting the brand of our storytellers and building those relationships. That is everything that we do. That is our moat as a company. So our storytellers are actually, as part of our employee share scheme, they actually become part. So we are a creator-driven company. They actually earn part of our company as they grow with us. So we really are a creator company. We protect their brands in everything that we do. We believe that will give us better protection or a much deeper moat in what we do. If we become the place for these creators, these storytellers to come to us and say, oh my God, I got this incredible idea. Word of mouth is unbelievable in the photography space at the moment. Most of our referrals come from one photographer who's recommended another one because we've proven what we did to that photographer. They're all very protective of their brands. It is their company, is their brand. And that's going to give us that protection as we go forward.
Yeah, amazing. Fantastic to hear. I mean, the creators and the story they tell sounds so deeply rooted into Airguides and how you've grown as a business. Next question here from Charles is, can you touch a bit more on partnerships and the opportunities there? What does the global scalability look like and what are you most excited about when it comes to the international markets?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that by having these conversations with the DMOs, the tourism boards, is that it added an extra layer to our ecosystem by we don't only create partnerships with them and they pay us upfront for the marketing campaigns and we generate revenue through the bookable. So it's linking that inspiration with the visitor enablement. But what also has happened is that the tourism boards become our distribution partners. So it's a really powerful partnership. And this also will allow us to launch in new markets by working together with those destination marketing organizations, with local storytellers, and it really becomes a powerful ecosystem that we can create around tourism and really that benefits everybody that's involved in that ecosystem.
Yeah, I guess it sounds like a luxury problem, but for us at the moment, it's almost holding back. Like a lot of our storytellers, they don't just work in Australia and New Zealand. They want to build trips in California. We had one the other day, want to do the Maldives. Like it's more about the new food and wine photographer wants to do trips in Mendoza in Argentina, in the French wine region, California. I've got media partnerships there. I've got all the contacts. I know all the wineries, and we're like at the moment, and that is the purpose of why we're fundraising. The partnerships are available to us when we want them.
Yeah, and to give another more practical example, is we're working with the tourism board at the moment who wants to attract more customers from New Zealand, more visitors. So by working together on a local campaign with an international storyteller, we're really able to drive new audiences to the region through working with storytellers. in a really authentic way. So we've seen now that really works and it really resonates with people. So it's quite a powerful position for us to reach new audiences, not only for tourism brands, but also for golf brands, for example. So we are in partnership talks with a golf brand, working actually with a professional surfer to get more surfers to play golf. So there's all these really interesting opportunities within different verticals, and through the power of storytelling, we can attract new audiences.
Yeah, awesome. No, fantastic, fantastic. And you've had a question here. Are all your trips similar pricing to, for example, Picnic Island is Tasmania? Seems a bit top end price wise. I can absolutely imagine if you've got a tour guide, then commercially it's going to probably be at that end. But yeah, I'm sure you deal with questions all the time from potential customers around your pricing and how you can make it as competitive and of course attractive as possible to the end consumer.
Yeah, and I mean, because we work direct, we are competitive with our prices. We're definitely not in the higher ends in terms of price rise. We sit in the medium to high ends range. We focus on experiences rather than price. That is where we sit. We believe we supply the best experiences in our products. Definitely, we try and we always want to be fair with our prices. We're definitely not in the luxury, and we're not in the budget. We service a luxury adventure traveller, and we try and reflect our prices in that. But look, they're all different. The one that you've mentioned, sometimes there's one that we've just got at Picnic Island. We're renting the whole island for that trip. So the costs need to reflect that. Sometimes,
of course,
the places the storytellers want to get to are quite inaccessible, so that the prices have to that. But we always try to run on quite a fair margin.
As Paul mentioned, we're really going after those high value travelers.
Yeah.
Not only a monetary value, but also it's the right kind of traveler for us who's really focused on those unique experiences. And for our customers, money is not necessarily the problem for them. It's a time problem. So that's where we can come in as the trusted advisor to deliver those amazing travel experiences for them and no trip of a lifetime. So yeah, we sit between the mid-range to the more premium. And this year we're playing a lot around with different styles of trips and self-guided and guided tours. But the high value traveler is our focus.
Yeah, right. Yeah, awesome. Awesome, fantastic. And you've got a question here around what your current valuation is and what it's based on. And the person has also asked what your expected revenues are in 3 years. I will cover that in crowdsource funding offer documents, you won't typically find revenue projections in here. The reason being that ASIC effectively, the regulator, of course, wants to see a really solid track record. And when we're talking about a solid track record, we're talking 10 plus years of consistent revenue and consistent growth to be able to support any projections. And because this is an offer that is going out to retail and wholesale investors, ASIC is very much so of the mind that we need to project a business as to where it is at this point right now. So I can absolutely imagine that you can reflect and really talk about your valuation, what that is based on, and talk about what your other revenue opportunities are right now. But I really just wanted to highlight to everyone that revenue projections are not something that you'll find in an offer document when it's available.
Yeah, so just, I guess, reflecting that we are really looking at it as the opportunity under each storyteller. So we try and flip it around from I do want to say that the tourism industry is still quite, it's not back to what it was pre-pandemic. Inbound and outbound travel, which BB mentioned, we were focused on the US markets pre-pandemic. There is no US inbound market really. It's really business and events travelers. It's not really yet. They're not coming back in any numbers. So when we try and, just to reiterate what Robin said, it's quite difficult for us to predict we've spent 2 years trying to predict what the governments would do around COVID restrictions. We believe we're on the end of that now, and things are only going to get better from here. But we're really, I guess, taking a cautious approach to our financial forecasting, and we're just going to do the best with what we've got. At the moment, it's really focused on Australia and New Zealand, and the opportunities that sit under. So you'll see it in the offer document. We've got a lot more. We've really broken apart the creator economy. We've really broken apart what the trends are that is happening in tourism at the moment. You'll be able to see our financial numbers up until this point. But yeah, beyond this, I mean, if things keep trending the way they are this year, which we really hope, you know, we've got some. We're really starting to see that 20% month-on-month growth that BB mentioned.
Yeah, look, Australia is probably a few months behind on Europe and the States, and what we're seeing there is that the travel agent market is back to pre-pandemic levels. So those, in terms of basing it on that, we are quite hopeful that we're going to have a very busy year. The in Australia alone is big enough for us to go into different verticals and really establish Airguides as a brand in Australia. We're doing New Zealand as well. Obviously, New Zealand has just come out of the borders with Australia, have only just reopened or have announced they will reopen this month. So that's a large enough growth opportunity for us at the moment to focus on this year. We're also in chats with the South Pacific Islands, which is really exciting. Which we'll read more about in the offer document. But look, hopefully we'll make it very clear in the offer document that the opportunities is significant in tourism, not only in the photography vertical, but also in the other verticals that we're focusing on this year. So we're quite hopeful that we can welcome our American customers again back soon.
Awesome. Is that the same for the valuation as well? That effectively you're kind of, or your explanation and your backing for this is all in the offer document and it's going to be available then?
Yeah, so we'll have the valuation in the offer documents. I guess I can talk about how we come up with that. Is I really see our role is to deliver value to investors, potential investors. The way that I try and think about it is looking at the tourism industry, where there's potential exit opportunities, and from our valuation, are we able to ideally get to a 10x of that, and what is the realistic path to get that? So our valuation is really based on similar. We are still a early stage company, but we've done a lot of work in forward predicting based on the creator economy and the tourism industry, where you see similar valuations. Being an international company, US market really becomes as something that becomes attractive to investors from that market. So our valuation, which you'll see in the investor document, will be reflective of what we believe we can grow the company into and deliver a fair and, well, ideally a very fair return to the investors.
Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. And Charles here has asked a question around if you can elaborate on your goals around sustainable and eco-friendly travel and the growth opportunity that's there. A really interesting one.
Yeah, and I get that's a big question for us. One of the biggest reasons why we started Airguides is that sustainable travel focus. Really, the business model is created to have a positive impact on not only our travelers and storytellers, but also the tourism operators we partner with and the destinations we travel to. So look, the last 2 years have been focused on survival, and our sustainable travel focus has been really there on working directly with local travel operators. So for us, I guess it takes more time to work with local operators, but the benefits there are that we are able to negotiate better prices for our customers, and the experience is just so much better. There are so many incredible tourism operators in Australia and New Zealand who have had pretty tough times over the last 2 years. So we're really excited to show them to more customers and bring more people to these incredible products that we have. So operators is a big focus for us. What we started to do with our guided tours is that we're supporting NGOs through those guided tours. So for example, we've done a guided tour to the Southern Great Barrier Reef, where we've worked together with an underwater photographer. So those guided tours will directly impact, proceeds will directly go to NGOs. And that's something that we're really planning to scale this year as we're in a better position to do so. So it's really the right balance between profit and purpose, but making sure that we benefit everybody involved in our model.
Often the great thing about working with our storytellers is this is their passion. They're all passionate about the environment, local communities. So it's not something that we really have to, although it is a passion for us as well, it's just something that is naturally happening with our company anyway. So if we set up a guided trip, they want to support the local environmental organisation that's looking after that island or things like that. So we firmly believe that as we scale, we're really going to be able to get back to focusing on, especially this is a big focus of Bibi and her passion behind what we do. And you know, as we scale, we're able to really start driving more impact back into those communities.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. And I think the next question is really tied into that and what you were saying there. Because of course you mentioned you see all these growth opportunities. You've actually got two questions here around what you intend to do with the capital raise. Tom here at the bottom has really asked what's holding back your growth and why do you need external investors at this point? So what will you be using those funds for as a priority? And I think that's a really good question. So over to you two.
I'll start with the second one.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom. That's a good question. We look, pre-pandemic, we were growing quite organically from our revenue, so that allowed us to grow quite significantly. The biggest reason for this raise is that we're currently missing out on opportunities. We actually have to say no to storytellers, to brands who want to work with us. So we feel like it's been such a roller coaster going from survival mode to back into growth mode that we feel like this is a really unique time in tourism in the current market. We are, we have, this model is first in market. So we do feel like we have to go after the market now and grow faster. So it's been a really exciting time for us to meet our wider community and open up our cap table to them to become involved. But really it's basically to say yes to more opportunities. That's yeah, we've been holding back and we're ready to scale our operations.
Yeah, so what's holding us back is just the speed at which we can scale. We can see the opportunities, they're there, and we're having to say no to way too many things that we shouldn't be saying no to.
Yep.
And as every business person would know, cash flow is quite a challenge, and it is a challenge in tourism. So we are very risk averse. So if we're booking trips, to give you an example, if we book a customer in December this year, the revenue from that trip is most of it is not realised until later in the year. So although we've got a lot of booking activity, it's quite a challenge with cash flow. So we can continue to grow as we've been, but we firmly believe now is the time to really chase opportunities and think big.
Yeah, totally understand. Totally understand. And you've had a question here asking you to define what you mean by storyteller. I know that this is so integral to you that you probably, yeah, go ahead. I'll leave you to answer.
In our little lingo sometimes, especially there's a lot of buzzwords, but with storytellers, I guess for us, storytellers really represents that person who it is for you, so really we try to go back to, storytellers have inspired us since the days of Marco Polo, since he wrote Tales of the Silk Road. So who is it for you? Who would you book a trip through? For us, that was Sir David Attenborough, but for some people it's a famous chef, or it's a National Geographic photographer, or it's a mountaineer. So I guess with storytellers, we really mean those people who are able to have, who inspire people to travel. We don't like to say we work with influencers, We work with incredibly talented people. They're really good at something, and because of that, they have influence. And for us, the word storytellers represents that.
Yeah, and especially once you hit cultural, where we really see, and I'm glad we got this question, because where we really see us scaling into is, at the moment, we go up to storytellers that come with an audience, but there will be a particular tipping point in our company where our brand will be able to give those incredible storytellers that audience. So we will be able to go to these. I just spent the other day up just off Bundaberg, and there was a guy there who's been helping with the turtle hatchings on Heron Island and Musgrave and off Bundaberg for about 58 years, and has basically reinvented turtle conservation in that region. And he was this incredible person that does a talk. And so he is a natural born storyteller in tourism. What he's been able to do, it's been his life's passion. But we would be able to one day work with someone like that, to go there with a production crew, shoot his video, tell his stories, or he tells his stories, and he's able to leverage our platform and drive more tourists to the region in the right way, and giving back to those incredible projects. So that's another example of a storyteller that doesn't necessarily have a big audience like the ones that we're working with.
Yeah, and just to give another example there, we have done a lot of testing, working together with different kinds of storytellers, and having a really big audience doesn't necessarily translate to conversion. So, for example, our most successful storyteller in New Zealand has a relatively smaller audience on social media, but she's really trusted as a landscape photographer all over the world. So people in the US who have never met her in person, but have this trust in her through her photos, reach out to her, can you help me with my honeymoon to New Zealand? And that's how we get our customers to come in, very organically. It's just that level of trust we really focus on. And it is because of that expertise that our storytellers have in different areas.
It's our favorite question to ask people, because everyone has someone who they would love to book a holiday with. And
who is it for you, Robin?
Yes, Robin, who's yours?
Oh, I wasn't ready for that question at all. I'm going to circle back and go to the Q&A. And when I've thought of an answer, I'm going to give it to you. So thank you very much for putting me on the spot. But I will have to delay my answer purely because I just don't have one just yet. Because the next question from William is so good in segueing into this whole conversation about storytellers, because they're so significant to your business, and you've really highlighted this. So William's asking, how much of the total equity do you plan on reserving as stock options for your storytellers?
Yeah, so half of our employee share scheme is for creators. So we believe that our employees and our creators are equal to the success of our growth plans and ambitions. So our employee share scheme is divided in half to reflect that.
Awesome. And also to everybody who's here, in the offer document, when you do take a look at the capital structure table, which is in section 2.6 of the offer document, you'll be able to see how significant that is, and basically how much it's broken down by. Gavin here has asked a question which we've already touched on a little bit, but I suppose it hasn't been framed in this way. So are there any plans to scale globally with regional partners or franchisees?
Yes, good one. So brands, so this would be a brand that has, so campaigns is definitely something where that would be possible. I mean, fundamentally, tourism it hasn't been the last 2 years, but tourism doesn't have borders. So sometimes it's actually a challenge for us, like we said, to draw a line around Australia, because brands don't typically just work in Australia. You'll have an Australian brand that would want to leave a Fiji, or like Bibi said, the Australian Tourism Board that wants to attract New Zealanders. So fundamentally, tourism is not about borders. It never has been. It's about open borders and working around the world. So for the answer to that would be yes. It's actually more of a challenge for us to stay within the region and keep on what we're trying to grow Because naturally we're just getting pulled out of Australia, and those are the opportunities. And part of the reason we're fundraising is that we can say, yes, that's an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
Our growth strategy quite well. Let's go after that opportunity. And another, I'll say, benefit number 2 from COVID is that we obviously became very good at creating our company that we don't necessarily need local. We built our company to be remote because we had to be. So we are really ready as soon as the opportunity arises. The business model is fundamentally designed to expand into different regions quite quickly.
Yeah, awesome. That's fantastic. And you've got a question here from Chris, who says they may have missed this in the presentation, but can you talk about the current margins and the net profit on services? Is there a future plan to sell the business through maybe a share buyback or profit distribution plans?
So margins at the moment are around the 30% margin on the total. So that's
your gross margin?
Yeah, right. That's better. That only is going to get better once inbound tourism is a much more. So at the moment, we're obviously selling a fair price. We try and run on that 30%. That allows us. And then there's obviously the storyteller, is the 5 to 10% of that gross margin. So that's your self-guided. The guided trips are a bit more healthy in terms of gross margin, but they're obviously less scalable. That's more in the 30 to 40%. And as part of those, we run those guided trips as a partnership with our storyteller. So the margin from the trip, and then whatever the profit of that trip is, we share 50-50 with the storyteller, really reflecting it's a partnership. So one of our Airguides goes as the expedition leader. The storyteller goes along. As we introduce it, we do the boring stuff. The storyteller does all the fun stuff on the trip. And at the end of it, they get 50% and we get 50%. And with the campaigns, they're also quite healthy margins. Anywhere up to 50% is the margins on those. And like I said, the best thing with that is it funds our product development. One of the most expensive things in tourism is how to fund new product development. We've sort of found a way that we can get our products developed or paid to develop and earn money along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
Second part of that question?
The second part was really around the future plans to sell the business through maybe a share buyback or profit distribution plans.
Yeah, so that, I guess it's going back a little bit to why you'll see the valuation as the number it is. We are still entirely focused on growing the company. We're certainly not at the moment analysing in super detail the exit, but what I can talk to is the opportunity in tourism around exits. So you do see share buybacks at a really fair, I mean, that's just an offer for investors, but tourism has quite good margins. So you do see share buybacks as companies become more established, but the most likely is the acquisition. If we went down that road, you see US private, you see a lot of the time a US private equity will team up with one of the large tourism companies. Media for us is obviously a huge part of what we do. So potentially media, tourism, private equity, most likely US seems to be the ones that are most interested in tourism. And then there's always the opportunity for, there's the IPO. It is an option further down the line, whether it's in Australia or potentially in the US. But at the moment, the focus is on growth and how fast we can scale the business globally.
100%. Sorry, BB, you go.
Yeah, so as Paul mentioned, the focus is on creating as much value as possible for our customers and partners this year. But obviously, we have built a model that offers something truly unique in tourism. So that's the real focus of us as well, to stay to capture a part of the market that's not been captured before, and to really position ourselves in that fashion travel space. not only to provide value for our customers, but also to potentially become attractive for an acquisition down the track.
Yeah, awesome. And Doug's question here is just exactly going into the details of the question you just answered, because he's highlighting I heard it's not easy to predict sales. Of course, as you mentioned, you've got a number of different bookings which are going to be happening at certain periods of time. Though, can you give an estimate of maybe projected numbers for trips or or storytellers in, say, 6 to 18 months?
Storytellers, yes. 6 to 12 months. So what we've got now is 16 photography, none yet from the Pacific Islands. So for, say, photography within Oceania, probably about 20 would be a nice number of storytellers in that photography space. And as we expand into food and wine, it's probably more likely 10 for that region. So 6 to 12 months, if things go well and we really push growth, there would be the opportunity to have around 30 storytellers within that region. And in terms of sales numbers, yeah, again, at the moment, we're trying to be as conservative as we can and really just focus on that 20% month on month. But one campaign can drive some really healthy numbers. So I don't want to, like Robin said, we have to be careful not to predict revenue. Yeah. I can talk to the revenue of other tourism companies, and it is quite a significant. In tourism, it's nothing to have a trip value of $15,000 to $20,000 in one sale, and as we can scale that up, you do hit some pretty nice margins and nice, especially sales numbers once we're able to scale it.
Fantastic, fantastic. And as we've come to the end of the questions, and perfectly timed, I must say, I'd love to ask you, when are you looking to open the offer and when can people get involved?
Yeah, that is now. What did we say, Robin?
Tuesday.
So April the 12th.
Yeah.
Nice and early Tuesday in a week's time. So we'll be sending everyone an email. Everyone who's already registered as an EOI will obviously get first access to communication, the offer document, which we're hoping to have out a little bit later this week. Phoebe and I are both, I will just put up, please don't put me on a spam list, but if anyone's got any follow-up questions, we've got this week where we're really going to send out the offer document. We're going to send out a bit more information, and Tuesday next week, we'll open up for investment.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, exciting times, and I really cannot wait to see you open up that investment offer and give everybody the opportunity to get involved in Airguides. So for everybody who's here as well, we will be sending around a recording of this webinar, just so if there's any particular aspect of it that you wanted to catch, you can absolutely go back and rewatch again. But I just wanted to say a huge thanks to everybody who's attended, all the questions. It was great to go through them. And Paul and BB, always great to have a chat with you both and really just to understand your business. So I think it's been fantastic to do this session, and I'm really glad we did it. So
thank you so much, Robin, and thank you so much everybody for listening, and really excited to share more of the journey with you, the roller coaster journey. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.